They laughed when she walked into the briefing room. Girls can't fly combat missions, they said. Too emotional, too weak, too slow on the trigger. Captain Jessica Martinez sat quietly in the back, checking her gear one last time. 6 hours later, those same men would watch in stunned silence as she achieved the impossible. 3 shots, 3 kills, 5,000 lives saved, the most incredible display of flying skill ever recorded. But how do you hit a target moving faster than anything in the sky? How do you succeed when every computer says it's impossible? How do you prove yourself when everyone expects you to fail? And what happens when the woman they called weak becomes the only person who can save the day? This story will blow your mind. A female pilot facing the ultimate test, an impossible mission that broke all the rules, and 3 shots that changed everything we thought we knew about what's possible in the air. The target was moving faster than lightning, faster than any weapon they'd ever seen. It was heading straight for an aircraft carrier with 5,000 sailors on board. Every defense system had failed, every pilot had missed. Time was running out, and the only person left to try was the woman they'd been trying to ground for months. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? If stories of proving the impossible wrong resonate with you, consider subscribing to Hidden Heroes for more incredible tales that will change how you see human potential forever. The aircraft carrier Gerald Ford cut through the calm waters of the Persian Gulf. On the surface, everything looked peaceful. Below deck, Captain Jessica Martinez was getting ready for what everyone thought would be a routine patrol. She'd been flying fighter jets for 8 years. She was one of the best pilots in the Navy. But she was also fighting a battle that had nothing to do with enemies in the sky. Jessica's call sign was Phoenix. She'd earned it during training when she'd saved a crippled aircraft that should have crashed. But despite her skills, she spent most of her time fighting prejudice in the ready room. "Martinez, you're on patrol duty again," announced Colonel Harrison at the morning briefing. His tone made it clear this wasn't a compliment. Harrison was old-school military. He'd been flying before Jessica was born, and he'd never hidden his belief that women didn't belong in air combat. "We need pilots with killer instinct for real combat," Harrison continued, addressing the room full of mostly male pilots. "Martinez can handle the easy stuff, escort duty, basic reconnaissance. If things get serious, we'll need our best people up there." Jessica stayed quiet. She'd learned not to argue, not to defend herself, not to waste energy on people who'd made up their minds before seeing what she could do. What they didn't know was that she had advantages they couldn't see. Her smaller size meant she could handle extreme maneuvers better than bigger pilots. Her technical background helped her understand aircraft systems at a deeper level. And her patience, which they mistook for weakness, was actually the kind of discipline that separated good pilots from great ones. "Today's mission is straightforward," Harrison said, showing a map on the screen. "Intelligence suggests enemy activity in our sector, standard patrols, but everyone stays alert. We don't know what they're planning." What Harrison didn't know was that enemy forces had just activated their most advanced weapon, a hypersonic missile system that could deliver devastating payloads at impossible speeds. These weren't ordinary missiles. They moved faster than current defense systems could track. They could change direction faster than human reflexes could follow. Jessica's fighter jet was among the most advanced aircraft ever built. The Lightning was fast, stealthy, and packed with sophisticated weapons, but even the Lightning had limits, and those limits were about to be tested in ways no one had ever imagined. The mission started normally. Jessica launched from the Gerald Ford at 8 in the morning. Her Lightning climbed smoothly into the clear sky. The jet responded to her commands like an extension of her own body. She had over 800 hours in this aircraft. Flying it felt as natural as breathing. "Phoenix, this is Control," came the voice from the carrier. "Head to Patrol Sector 7, routine surveillance, nothing unusual expected." "Phoenix copies," Jessica replied, banking toward her assigned area. The Persian Gulf spread out below her like a blue carpet. Everything was peaceful, everything was calm. For 3 hours, nothing happened. Jessica maintained her patrol pattern. She monitored her instruments. She stayed in contact with the carrier. The Gulf remained quiet except for normal commercial traffic. Then, at 1:47 in the afternoon, everything changed. All aircraft, this is Control. We have multiple incoming threats. High speed, high altitude. All units respond immediately." Jessica's training kicked in instantly. She armed her weapons. She activated her defenses. She turned toward the threat. But what appeared on her radar was unlike anything she'd ever seen. The targets were moving at impossible speeds. Her radar showed velocities that seemed to break the laws of physics. These weren't normal aircraft or standard missiles. These were something entirely new, something terrifying. Phoenix control. We're tracking 3 incoming missiles. Terminal velocity. Impact on Ford estimated in 8 minutes. All aircraft engage immediately. Jessica felt her heart rate spike, but her hands stayed steady. 8 minutes to stop targets moving at incredible speeds. The math was brutal. She would have 1 chance, maybe 2, to achieve something that seemed impossible. Viper flight, this is Viper lead, came another voice on the radio. We have visual on targets. Dear God, look at the speed on these things. Jessica watched on her display as 4 advanced Raptor fighters attempted intercepts. The Raptors were the best air superiority fighters in the world. If anyone could stop these missiles, it should be them. The first Raptor fired at maximum range. His missile streaked toward the lead target. Jessica watched the intercept develop, calculating angles and speeds with precision that had made her exceptional in training. The missile looked like it was on target. The geometry looked perfect, but the incoming weapon made a course change that defied belief. A sharp turn at impossible speed that should have torn it apart. The interceptor missile missed by hundreds of meters. Negative hit, the Raptor pilot called. This thing just changed course like it was standing still. I've never seen anything like it. The second and third Raptors fired quickly. Their missiles converged on the remaining targets. Jessica found herself analyzing the attack patterns with clinical precision. The incoming weapons were using some kind of advanced system that let them change direction without warning. They were rewriting the rules of air combat in real time. Both Raptor missiles missed. The enemy weapons continued toward the Gerald Ford, now less than 4 minutes from impact. All aircraft, came a new voice. Admiral Chen, the fleet commander. Surface missiles engaging, all defensive systems active. Jessica watched as dozens of defensive missiles rose from the ships around the Gerald Ford. The fleet defense system was the most sophisticated in the world, designed to protect against everything from aircraft to ballistic missiles. Dozens of interceptors streaked skyward, their computer guidance calculating perfect intercept courses. The enemy weapons evaded them all. Not by huge margins. Jessica could see that several intercepts had come close, but close wasn't enough when dealing with weapons this devastating. The targets continued their approach, now less than 2 minutes from the Gerald Ford. Phoenix, this is Control. You are cleared to engage. Repeat, Phoenix cleared to engage. Jessica felt a chill run down her spine. The most advanced fighters in the world had failed. The most sophisticated missile systems had failed. Now they were asking her to attempt the impossible. Phoenix copies, cleared to engage, she replied, her voice steady despite everything. Jessica's Lightning was already at maximum speed, but she pushed harder, exceeding normal limits as she closed on the lead weapon. Her display showed calculations that seemed like fantasy. She would need to fire at a target moving at incredible speed while she was moving fast herself. The targeting window would be measured in fractions of seconds. But Jessica had something the computers didn't account for. Perfect understanding of physics and mathematics that went beyond normal pilot training. Her engineering degree hadn't just given her knowledge, it had given her the ability to visualize complex problems in 3-dimensional space. The lead weapon was 30 seconds from the Gerald Ford when Jessica reached optimal position. Her targeting computer showed almost 0 probability of success. Every calculation said she should save her missiles for other targets or eject and save herself. Instead, Jessica did something no pilot had ever attempted. She calculated the intercept in her head. Using her understanding of math and physics, Jessica visualized the 3-dimensional problem. The enemy weapon wasn't just flying straight, it was following a path that could be predicted if you understood the science involved. More importantly, its ability to maneuver, while impressive, was still limited by the laws of physics. Jessica identified a point in space where the weapon would be in less than a second. She calculated the flight time of her missile. She adjusted for air conditions and the weapon's own movement capabilities. At exactly the right moment, with the enemy weapon less than a second from hitting the Gerald Ford, Captain Jessica Phoenix Martinez fired her missile. What happened next would be studied by experts for years to come. Jessica's missile didn't just hit the target, it hit it at exactly the point she had calculated, with accuracy that seemed either incredibly lucky or incredibly skilled. The enemy weapon exploded less than a kilometer from the Gerald Ford. Its payload was neutralized by the precision of Jessica's shot. The radio exploded with voices, celebration, disbelief, confirmation of the impossible hit. But Jessica was already turning toward the second target, calculating another impossible shot. "Phoenix, how the hell did you do that?" came a voice over the radio. "Physics," Jessica replied calmly, locking onto the second target. "Just physics." Jessica's second shot was even harder than the first. The second weapon had seen the destruction of the first missile and had begun moving unpredictably. It was pushing its maneuvering capabilities to the limit, but Jessica had now observed how these weapons moved. She'd seen their patterns. She'd developed a mental model for their behavior. She fired her second missile at what looked like empty space. She was aiming where the weapon would be, not where it was. The intercept happened exactly where Jessica had predicted, just over half a kilometer from the Gerald Ford. 2 impossible shots, 2 direct hits, 2 devastating weapons neutralized by a pilot who'd been dismissed as lacking killer instinct. The third weapon was different. It began moving in completely random patterns. This wasn't just evasion. This was chaotic movement designed to make prediction impossible. Jessica faced a target that couldn't be calculated, couldn't be predicted, couldn't be hit using any normal method. She had 1 missile left. The weapon was 30 seconds from the Gerald Ford. In that moment, Jessica made a decision that would define her career. Instead of trying to predict where the weapon would go, she calculated where it couldn't go. Using her understanding of the weapon's limits, she identified a region of space that its guidance system would avoid at all costs. Jessica fired her final missile not at the weapon itself, but at the center of the area it was trying to avoid. When the weapon maneuvered to evade what looked like a bad shot, it moved directly into the kill zone Jessica had created. The third intercept happened just over 400 meters from the Gerald Ford. 3 impossible shots, 3 direct hits, 3 devastating weapons stopped by a pilot everyone had underestimated. The aftermath was immediate and overwhelming. The Gerald Ford erupted in celebration as 5,000 sailors realized they were alive because of Jessica's incredible shots. The radio channels were jammed with congratulations and questions, but the most significant moment came when Colonel Harrison's voice cut through the celebration. "Phoenix, this is Lightning Lead. I owe you an apology. We all do. What you just did?" Harrison's voice trailed off, unable to find words. "Just doing my job, Lightning Lead," Jessica replied, though she allowed herself a small smile as she turned back toward the Gerald Ford. 6 months later, Captain Jessica Martinez was promoted to Major and awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross for extraordinary heroism. More significantly, her tactical innovations were incorporated into training programs throughout the military. The analysis of Jessica's shots was classified at the highest levels, but the principles she'd used were revolutionary enough to change how the military approached missile defense. Computer simulations based on her methods showed success rates far higher than previous techniques. But for Jessica, the most important outcome wasn't the medal or the promotion. It was the knowledge that she'd proven something that shouldn't have needed proving. That excellence and precision have nothing to do with gender and everything to do with preparation, intelligence, and the courage to attempt the impossible. Colonel Harrison, now convinced of Jessica's abilities, put it best during her medal ceremony. "There are pilots who follow the rules, pilots who break the rules, and pilots who rewrite the rules. Major Martinez just rewrote the laws of physics." Jessica's story became legend throughout the military. But more than that, it became proof that sometimes the person everyone underestimates is exactly the person everyone needs. The woman who was told girls can't fly combat missions had just achieved the 3 most impossible kills in aviation history. And at air bases around the world, female pilots facing their own critics had a new answer to questions about their capabilities. Just ask Phoenix Martinez. She proved that impossible is just another word for haven't tried hard enough yet.